welcome to our August edition of Sports Highlights. My name is Greg Bicaveras. Glad you're with us. Our program since February of 1992. Our show airs on Mondays at 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m., weekends at 9 a.m. on Cox Cable 47, 517, NNPS-TV.com, all over YouTube, and all over social media. Our guests today are Van Malone and Ollie Brown. Let's welcome the brand new head football coach of Hampton University, Van Malone. Good to see you in the studio.
Greg, Grant, it's great to be here. Excited, man. Heard a lot about this show, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Very good. Of course, it all started for you before you went to Texas, but it started for you in high school, the whole football.
Yeah, and actually even started before that, right? I've had the opportunity to play this great game, man, since I was about 8 years old. And so I've had an opportunity to learn quite a bit. I've been blessed to have great coaches, great teammates, and now I'm in a position to where I can impact a program in the biggest way as a head coach.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, is there really such thing as Friday Night Lights in Texas?
Yeah, I always get that question. And for me, growing up in Texas, you just don't know any other way. Football, people say it all the time, that football is king, and it really is. There's quite an emphasis on being successful in high school football, whereas in other states there could be emphasis on other things. In Texas, when it comes to athletics, it's high school football, and I was just blessed to be a part of that.
Looking at your background, one thing about you is you get things done, you get things completed, and you finish. That is so important, that you've paid your dues, you've been patient, you've been an assistant in a lot of different places.
Well, you know what? I'm going to just rewind to that, because you need to say that again, because my wife would say that I don't when it comes to, yard work, when it comes to things around the house. She said that I don't, right? But as a football coach, yes, that has been I've been fortunate. I've been at some great places. I've had an opportunity to be around some great leadership, great head coaches, and been around some really good players. And so, yes, we've had success over the years, the places I've been.
And you've had to get along with people. That's the bottom line. Think about this, folks. Most recently at Kansas State, but you've been at Western Michigan, North Texas State, Texas A&M, Tulsa, Oklahoma State, SMU, Mississippi State. We just mentioned Kansas State, FBS Assistant Coach of the Year several years ago nationally. So in all those different places, you've had to move, you've had to get along with people, and you were the assistant coach.
Well, you know what? I always say, people, I have a lot of stickers on my bag, right? Over the course of the time as a coach, you move for different reasons. Sometimes, unfortunately, you get relocated by your employer, right? We call that getting fired. Mm-hmm. But then there are other reasons to make a move. Sometimes it's for promotion. Sometimes it's for an opportunity to grow. Sometimes it's for more money, right? Quite frankly. And so all of those have happened throughout my career. And when you have a family, I don't think fans all the time understand that other side of it. When you have a family and your kids, they make a move and they leave the 7th grade at one school and they have to go to another school and enter the 7th grade in an entirely different state. Sometimes that's stressful. And so I've always felt guilty a little bit as a coach. My mom says it. She says, as you drag your family across the country, but there's an agreement that your family makes with a coach, is that we're all in this together, and they're going to support the vision and they're going to support the path of that coach. It's almost like, especially in this area, people can understand, it's almost like being a military family. I think there's a lot of struggle with it at times. Your kids have to learn really quickly how to connect with people, with new people. They have to learn how to stay in touch with relationships that they've formed already. And so there's a lot of stress that comes along with it, but there's also a lot of really good, wholesome growth that comes from having to be able to go into new environments and establish relationships really quickly. It's something that, as a coach, I've been fortunate to be able to do, but I feel good that my family has also had the opportunity to learn those traits as well.
Yeah, because if the family is solid, you're solid when you walk out the door every morning. You don't have to worry about that because that's already in place. And Coach, of course, has played at the youth level, high school, played at Texas, of course, and in the NFL too, including the Lions and briefly with the Cardinals. What was it like playing with Barry Sanders?
People, when they ask me that question, I always talk about his off the field operation. He was an unbelievable player, right? I've watched games, and I actually would talk to players pregame, and they would ask me, being a defensive player, hey man, okay, how do I tackle him? And what I would always advise them to do is listen, just fall down, right? When he comes into your area, just fall down so you don't show up on the highlight video, right? Dive at his legs, that way you don't show up, right?
Yeah.
But I'd always have these friends who would find themselves one-on-one with Barry Sanders, and he'd spin them around, and I'd tell him after the game, man, you should have went for the legs.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not going to look good on the highlight video.
And the thing is, I never understood this, Van, that people would give him a hard time about staying in the NFL. He played 10 years.
Yes.
The average person might play 3. He played for 10.
Yes, and again, was tremendously successful, tremendously productive throughout his entire year. And sometimes what you see in the NFL especially, I mean, it's an unbelievable place to play. You're playing at the highest level. You're making a lot of money. And what quite often people do, athletes do, is they hang in there past their time.
Yeah.
The exit door is passed a few times, and they just keep hanging in there. And what they do is they tank their legacy. And I don't think that Barry did that. I think he left on his own terms, which is always remarkable for any person, but especially for an athlete in a gruesome sport as football, is to be able to leave on your own terms, to leave with a clear, established legacy, a Hall of Fame career, and to be able to walk away where you feel good about it. And that's what I know that Barry did. And so, yeah, I know a lot of people would say, oh, he still had more to give, but he gave a tremendous amount during the time he played.
10 years is a lot. Of course, we're talking to Van Malone, the head football coach at Hampton University, and you bring all that experience to the CAA, which Hampton's a part of. What are your thoughts about the schedule? It was pretty much already in place before you got here.
Well, I think that, number one, the CAA is a remarkable league to be able to play in, very competitive league. And our team, we're excited. We're excited as coaches and as players to be able to play in this league. Again, an established league of very competitive teams. And so we just want to make our mark. As the head coach stepping into this role, I want to do all that I can to put Hampton in the conversation as we move into years down the road.
Exactly, and you talk about it too, about the schedule. The good thing about football, and I love it the most, it's one game a week. So you're not distracted as much with playing like basketball 2 or 3 games in a week. You have one game to focus and not even worry about the next game, except coaches do, of course, until that game is over.
Well, here we have a lot of rivalry games, and we have a lot of special moment games. And so a lot of times fans, which I definitely respect that, they focus on those moments. They focus on those games, which are unique to them. But as a coach and as a team, we have the responsibility to focus on each game, right? We call it a one-game season, right? People use that term when they get into the playoffs. But I think each game is individual. But if you go an even further step, every play, when we talk to our players, every play is an individual play. It has a life all its own. And so this focus, this 1 week focus that you talked about, well, I believe that when you play a game, when you operate on the football field, you have to treat each play that same way. You have to be focused on your job on that play. And when that play is over, just like you talk about a game, when that game is over, you have to move on. Right? And I was talking to a couple of our players today about rankings and ratings and who will be predicted to finish here or there. And what I am teaching our players is that those are predictions. That's fun. That's cool. It's cool to figure out who's where and who's what and what do I think is going to happen this week or next week. I think it was Herm Edwards said you play to win the game, and then somebody else talked about practice, right? Mm-hmm. That's why you practice, and that's why, and I know who those people were, but I just throwing it out there. But you practice so that you can have all the focus of that week go into a game, right? And different sports, you mentioned basketball, different sports get a lot more opportunities. When you get more opportunities, sometimes they're watered down. When you only get 12, they are very important, right? And the emphasis on each one of them is at the highest point.
Because you know who you played for week 1 since you got here.
Right. And once that game is over, it's over.
Yeah.
And what happens in game 2 will not at all be connected to what happened in game 1, right?
And that's the thing. I think there's too much hype in all sports about week 1. And it's like, okay, you win, you let down a little bit, you lose, you're deflated. It's one game out of 12 or 17.
Right. And it's one game. Again, the fans make it go, right? The media makes it go. And so you have to accept that part of it. But for a team and for coaches, we have to have the discipline to be able to drown that out, to be able to turn that down so that you can focus in on what's really important, right? You want the fans to be there. If you don't allow them to have that, right? If we don't allow our fans to relish in the rivalry games, then where's their fun, right? We want to let them have that. We want to give them that, but we want to also make sure that we are focused on what's really important.
Some rapid points here. NIL and portal, does it affect you at all?
Of course it does, right? Of course it does. It affects us because that's the new landscape of college football. On any level, you're going to be affected by the transfer portal. I think when you talk about the portal, it's so important to have relationships with the players on your team. You are given the responsibility to retain your team. We recruit them, we want to develop them, or we have to retain them. We also, on the flip side, have to be adept at going out and scouring the portal for people who fit what we do. We are not going to build our team with players from the portal. We're going to develop players. We're going to take players to the next level of their game, and then when there are opportunities for us to go and get players who fit what we do, we're going to dig into that as well. That's why relationships are so important for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, with your staff too. Quickly, in August, like we're in right now, what do you look for in practice from a focus standpoint?
Well, I think it's important that, again, I spoke to the word develop. I think it's important that you have a plan, which our staff does, have a plan for developing our team, the whole roster, right? You choose people who you might, as a coaching staff, you say this guy's going to be the starting running back and this guy's going to be the starting linebacker. But if there's an injury, you have to make sure that the guy who is behind him is ready to play. So you have to continually develop the whole roster. And so what I look for in our fall camp, as we start rolling into fall camp, I look for the ways we are able to best develop the entire roster. Because as you go through a team, you go through a season, the guy who might be on scout team in week 1, he's a guy you will have to find a way to use in week 7, week 8. There'll be injuries. There'll be all kinds of things that'll happen through the course of a season. And so if a young player is on our team and he's on the scout team, we train him that you are on the scout team because we're developing you for one day the ability to be able to contribute throughout the end of the season. Even if I was a red shirt, today you can play 4 games and still red shirt. And so we are fighting for the ability to be able to have guys help us throughout their careers.
One of my relatives said, have 2 eyes in the front, 2 eyes in the back. As a head coach, you've got eyes everywhere, and sometimes people might think you're looking at them, but you're looking at something totally different.
That's right.
A lot of it's psychology.
And well, I think that it's important that the players understand this, right? Players need to understand that everybody's being developed, that there are expectations for everybody, right? Not just the starter, again, because things happen. Starters get injured. I've had an opportunity in a Big 12 championship where a guy who was on the scout team earlier in the week came into the Big 12 championship and played a key role in a 4th down stop that helped us to win the championship. Well, if that guy had gotten into the scout team mindset, then he wouldn't have been able to perform at a key moment in the season in this game.
Right, be ready always. Coach, all the best to you and your brand new staff for the fall of 2026 and for your family for moving down here and making the commitment to Hampton.
Thank you.
My pleasure. That's the brand new head football coach, well-traveled, well-seasoned. He's played at the high school, college, and the NFL level. He is now a Pirate with Hampton University, Van Malone. Stay tuned as our show will continue after these messages.
You're watching NNPS-TV. Catch sports highlights on Mondays at 7, 2, and 7, and on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Visit us online at nnpstv.com to view all your favorite episodes. NNPS-TV, watching education happen.
I've been rising up and inventing in my classes.
I've been rising up to be the best student athlete I can be.
I'm rising up as a leader in my school.
I'm rising up to prepare for my future career.
We are all rising up and preparing ourselves for success, thanks to our dedicated teachers and staff in Newport News Public Schools.
Rise up!
And welcome to our second segment of our August 2026 show. Greg Bickaveris, glad you're with us. Hope you enjoyed our first guest, Van Malone. Let's switch gears to go to basketball, welcoming the brand new head boys basketball coach at Warwick High School, Ollie Brown. Ollie, good to see you.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me, man.
Known as AB. Known as AB is
That's
in the
right.
house.
That's right.
Brand new. Summertime right now. What are you
That's
looking
right.
for summer?
Just kids that want to get better. Taking over a program that there's a lot to do, a lot of work to do. We don't want to put any expectations. I think we just want to set a culture, kind of teach them how to compete. The main thing that I try to do in the summer is just give kids confidence, right? Show up and work, just put your head down for a couple of weeks. Let's see where we're at, and then we'll attack it from there,
In Hampton, they dealt with this more so than Newport News because of football playoffs. It's very difficult still, AB, to play two sports and to focus on both sports because a lot of times you see the football players dragging to the basketball court. They're already physically and mentally spent. How difficult is that for you?
It's not difficult at all, honestly. I think the mindset in coaching is just to take what you have, work really hard, and see what happens. I'm competitive. I have a lot of hours put in studying this game. I've been taught basketball by some of the most brilliant minds that I can think of. I work with some of the greatest coaches that just reside in this area of Virginia. And what they've always taught me is if you're willing to work and you show up, you get better. And if you get better and you believe in yourself, you can compete. And if you can compete, you have a chance to win. And whether you're tired from football, doesn't really matter. If you show up late, we can make things happen as long as you're willing to. Once you enter those lines on the court, you're willing to put one foot in front of the other as hard as you can and be coachable. We can make anything happen.
Giggitan's had a great legacy of basketball before you were there and when you were there.
Absolutely. Well, when I was there, it was kind of it's really crazy. When I was there, my freshman year, I think we went 1-19 or something like that under Coach Kerry Forrest. We had an unfortunate incident where going into my senior year, about a month before tip-off of the first game, he was relieved. And we had another coach come down from T.C. Williams who just changed everything. We were senior heavy. We had the best player in the state at the time, and we really wanted to change the energy and the culture around the high school. So we worked really hard that summer. We went into the season. We had our first winning record, and maybe 5-6 years. We went to the playoffs and knocked off the #1 team in the state in the first round of regionals, and it was a momentous season that took Kecoughtan into a different era under Coach Ivan Thomas that I think everybody in his area kind of remembers.
Yeah, and he's now at Hampton University.
Absolutely, he's
Doing
done a great
very
job.
well. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your staff this year.
Absolutely. Well, coming into it, most of the guys that I trusted and talk basketball with all the time and everything like that, they have jobs, right? So you're kind of interviewing and going into this process, a little differently. So I'm meeting a bunch of new guys. I have guys that have come with me. I have guys that, like a gentleman, my main assistant is Coach Anthony Slade. He's a longtime basketball coach in the Bay Rivers District. Graduated from Hampton High School. He'll be with me on the sideline. We have, Coach G. Hicks, who's and Tim Royal, who have been staples in youth basketball in Newport News area. Coach Alan Simon is our returning JV coach. We have a volunteer, Anthony Wooten, who is Warwick alumni, who I played against when I played at Kecoughtan, who's just a tough-nosed, New York-bred guy who just knows toughness, knows ball handling, knows defense, knows leadership. We're really excited about, everybody we have. We have Coach Dierico Ferrari, who is a friend of mine from when I lived in Baltimore, who happened to just kind of live down here. And we just were really excited because when I was, after college, me and him would work out and play basketball a lot together and teach and train young kids. So his basketball knowledge needs to be exploited. So I had to have him on the staff. Just try to put guys around you that are going to challenge the ideas, that are going to hold kids accountable, and people you feel confident with. If you're not in the gym, you want them to be able to run a practice and a workout for you, and never miss a beat. And I feel confident with those guys.
And there's no night off in the district, whether you're playing Newport News schools or
Ever.
Hampton schools. And of course, Bethel's got a big replacement in Coach Brehan
For sure.
retiring, but there's no night off.
No night off at all. I mean, Cam Baycoat, congratulations to him for taking over Bethel. He's, widely regarded as, at worst, top 3 guys that ever played at Bethel. So his basketball knowledge with D1 experience and his love for just doing it the right way, I think is going to take Bethel to, just continued success. But like you said, I mean, with guys like Hampton, with Dimitri Batten up the road coaching guys at Heritage, with legends like Coach Willie Goss at Phoebus again, and there's every team you're gonna have to, it's a long night. I'm gonna be staying up watching film until my eyes bleed, kind of thing.
Yeah. And Jay Grimes has done a good job at Denby.
They're unbelievable. I don't even know how I forgot about Coach Grimes. Coach Grimes is, kind of a young savant when it comes to this game. Everything that I see him do, I try to, I'm stealing. I'm talking to him. And, he's a good friend of mine. So we're excited about what he's, accomplished, but also what he's about to go do, because he's, a legend in the making in his own right.
Because basketball's got a quick turnaround Tuesday and Thursday.
Sure,
that you barely get a chance to process.
Yeah, and that's kind of new. When I played, we played on Tuesdays and Fridays. We had a couple nights. If it was a tough game on Tuesday, you kind of took it light on Wednesday. You don't have that luxury anymore, right? So it kind of changes the preparation, right? If I got Hampton on Tuesday and I got, Denby on Thursday, I got to make sure I'm watching film on Denby on Sunday, and you don't want to look too far ahead, but you kind of have to in planning, right? The players need to stay in the moment, but coaches have to think, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead.
Yep, of course, Warwick making a coaching change, and of course, brand new AB, known as Ollie Brown, the head boys basketball coach at Warwick High School. Great lineage, and of course, not only did you play for Kecoughtan, you worked up in Maryland for a while, but you also went to Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah, absolutely. I got recruited out of hye school to go to Virginia Wesleyan and play for Coach David Macedo. I talked earlier about some of the best basketball minds. Coach Macedo made me look at basketball in a whole different way. I was really raw. He was very honest with me. I wasn't, the best player on my high school team, not even the second best player on my high school team, but, we worked really hard and I got a lot better. And when he came to me, he told me to be patient. And, I was able to win 2 championships with him. We never missed an NCAA tournament. I won over 100 college games. Things that not a lot of people can say. And the things that I took from there allowed me to jump right into coaching just for my love of the game. I don't think I thought about coaching before I played for Coach Macedo. So I owe a lot of that to him.
And of course, what do you think about now? You mentioned Coach Macedo. He stressed fundamentals.
Not only stress, it's religion, right? I think the fundamentals relieves a lot of stress. The way he teaches, the way he breaks things down, he's very detail oriented. He's got a memory about basketball like an elephant, and it comes out every single day. Everything is structured, everything is passionate, everything is with intention. One thing that I take with me to this day is a saying that he always has, is just do it the right way. You know, find a way and do it the right way. There's no excuses to not being able to accomplish something, because if you don't work hard, how can you expect to accomplish it? There's no excuses to, you know, not competing when someone bigger, faster, and stronger is in front of you. He taught me at a 6'7" frail kid, he taught me how to battle 7-foot guys in the post and be effective and not give up and make sure that you leave the court with respect every single time. So, you know, we'd be remiss to, you know, coach kids and not try to deliver that same message.
So much is time management. When you're on the road as much as you are in college, you're making serious road trips.
Absolutely.
You're staying away from academics, even though people have their laptops with
sure.
them. But still, it's a major time commitment. And high school basketball is different from football, where football is just once a week. Basketball is several games in a week.
For sure. And we have a program in place where there will be no fall off in grades or behavior or anything like that. I have a loose kind of saying when I go to kids, I don't want to coach idiots and I don't want to coach criminals. You know, you're going to be good people. We're going to represent a program the right way. We're going to be the program that people want to support. And nobody wants to support guys that take shortcuts. We don't want to, nobody wants to show up to games to ego and things that you haven't earned and all the stuff like that, you know, foul language and disrespect of teammates and opposing teams and coaches and fans and things like that. So we're going to be a college level program outwardly facing, because that's what it takes to get to that next level. You have to be that before you can get that. So we want to make sure we're leading with respect all the time.
And you have to build a roster. Just because somebody had a spot last season, that's not relevant necessarily to this season, correct?
And that was the first message.
Yeah.
I tell my guys all the time, no disrespect to you guys, but you were 1-22 in both of the last 2 seasons. If you were, if you guys did what you could have done, maybe I wouldn't be here. So I don't need anybody that helped be 1-22. I need guys that want to change their mindset and want to compete and want to be coachable. So if you're not that, I'm totally fine with rolling out 5 young guys and helping them learn through the fire. It'll be no different than the last season, and I have time, So we won't be 1-22 this year, but there's no reason why I should have to keep coaching the same, just lack of heart, lack of hustle, lack of skill, all those things like that for a basketball team. We're not doing that. We're going to change the way we work. We're going to change the way we believe about basketball, and we're going to win, more games than you probably have ever won, and that's just going to be the standard.
Yeah, but it's 32 minutes. You got to close. You got to finish. The game is not over at the start of the fourth quarter.
That's right.
You got to finish. And all the best to you and your staff this season. It'll be an exciting basketball season.
I really appreciate that, Greg. Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure. That's AB, Ali Brown, the head boys basketball coach at Warwick High School. Very excited about his new season with the Raiders. Of course, he went to Kickingham High School, and of course, Virginia Wesleyan. We joke with him, now called Baton.
Yeah, now called Baton. Yeah, Baton University, unfortunately.
Very good. So for Ray Price and his wonderful staff, I'm Greg Bicaveras. Thanks for watching our August show, and we'll talk to you soon.